Woo! What's going on, guys? Almost Form coming at you guys today with a video. In today's video, get a little bit excited for this video. It's another NFL draft player analysis for the Detroit Lions. It's my 13th one. Now this one is defensive end, outside linebacker Will Anderson Jr. I wasn't gonna do this video today. I wasn't gonna upload it, but I was a little bit excited. Can't really sleep right now. You know, I got the day off tomorrow. Easter weekend. Happy Easter, everybody. And I was going to do this tomorrow, but I decided just to get this, out there now because this is my favorite. This is my favorite guy. This is my number one guy, my number one prospect in this draft, in this 2023 draft. In my opinion, it's the beast out of Bama. It's Will Anderson. I just love this kid to death. I think he's an elite player. He's an elite player, and we'll talk about him. But let's get down to some numbers. He's came in at about 6'3.5" at the combine, up to about 253 pounds, gained weight. He pretty much played at Bama when he was a freshman. Played 3 years at Alabama Crimson Tide. He played from about 230 pounds to about 240, 245 pounds. That's what he kind of played at. So gained weight for the combine. Nice solid 253. 21 years old. Now let's get down to some numbers. It's 3 years at Alabama, like I said. 205 tackles, 62 tackles for loss, 28 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 4 PBUs, 34.5 sacks, and a touchdown. Now, just elite numbers all around. 2 years ago, he had like 17-something sacks, a bunch of tackles for loss, like 30-something tackles for loss. It was an incredible year. And and it wasn't last year, 2022, it was 2021 that I just said, but he didn't win the best defensive player in the country that year, 2021. It was Jordan Davis out of Georgia, the Georgia Bulldog, the big nose tackle, which I thought was a joke. Jordan Davis, you can, if you guys don't know what I was talking about with Jordan Davis a couple years back, or last year, whatever, when he got drafted by the Eagles, I wasn't a huge fan of his. Not because of anything personal or anything like that. I just didn't think he was the best defender in the country. And there was a lot of people that really loved Jordan Davis. Obviously, the Eagles, they took him. They drafted him too, but he was a guy that I just didn't like much. Just a very limited player, I thought. A two-down guy, doesn't really collapse the pocket much, doesn't have much pass rush. But I'm kind of going off thing. I'm kind of going off kilter here. My whole point is that Will Anderson should have won the 2021 best defender in the country that year. I think he got hosed. I think he got hosed big time. I don't even know if he was runner up. I'm sure Will Anderson was, but they gave it to Jordan Davis, and I thought it was a travesty. I just thought it was a travesty. It's over 17 sacks, and he had over 100-something tackles. He was a man possessed. He was a man possessed in 2021, and he had a little bit of a down. I don't want to say a down year in 2022, but we'll get to it. Now, the strengths and the positives, and there's a ton. He's a specimen. He's pretty much the perfect defender, in my opinion. He has insane pass rush abilities. 34.5 sacks in 3 years, equivalent to over 11 sacks a season. His get off is extremely explosive. Speed, flexibility, bend. He's got everything. Got the long arms that pack a punch when he needs to use that. He counters well. Very balanced in his attack when you watch him play. Guards can't block him either. He's coming in on stunts and loops. You see him do that, man. Guards just can't get to him. He's just that special of a player. And he sets the edge in the run game very well. Has a motor. Will close down on ball carriers or chase them down with reckless abandonment. He just goes after guys. He has a crazy motor. He'll drop back into coverage as well. More zone. You don't really want to see him running around with running backs and tight ends. He's really not that type of guy, but so he plays some linebacker when you see him do that. So he's versatile. Love the versatility of Brad Holmes thing. I think it's a lot of not just a Brad Holmes thing, but it's a big thing in Brad Holmes's analysis or his looking for players. So he's built more like a linebacker. He's very athletic. He's a leaner type of guy. He's got that lean build, but good size. Sets the tone always on defense. You love a guy that leads the way he leads, and he gets double teamed. He got double teamed a lot in 2022 after having that incredible 2021 season. It still produced. He had over 10 sacks. He had 10 and a half sacks, something like that, and he just produces at a high level, and he just doesn't take plays off. He just does not take plays off. So got those strengths and positives, the weaknesses and negatives. There's some. There's a lack of bulk on his body. Him going up 253 pounds with a combine kind of shows that he's willing to go up more, and he's almost 6'4", so he's got the length, he's got the body type where he could put on more weight, but I don't really want to see him going too much past 255. Not saying that he can't handle it, because I don't know the man personally, but some of these kids know their bodies, and if you ask this kid to come in and go, well, we want you at 265, 270, so we want you as a true defensive end, that's still a smaller defensive end. Could he handle that? Now, I probably think he could, but only he knows, and he knows his body type. So, and he's not like we talk about the bulk. He doesn't have a lot of experience dropping back into coverage as well, too. He could do it at times. Like I said, he dropped back into his zone, follow the quarterback's eyes, limit running backs and tight ends to limit space. He would limit their space, go after guys, just follow the quarterback guys. Not a man coverage guy or anything like that, but he's capable of dropping back. He just doesn't have that much experience. Now, opposing teams last year, like I talked about 2022, they focused on stopping him. That's why his numbers were down a little, but he still produced. He still produced at a high level, but his numbers were down, and they focused on him. So, that's not really a weakness or a negativity point against him, but, it's something that you have to kind of notice, and I don't want to call him positionless, okay? But where is he going to play on defense? Is he an outside linebacker? Is he a rush defensive end? Now, I don't think he's a true defensive end. I really don't. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to constantly have his hand in the dirt. He's going to be able to stand up, put his hand in the dirt, do all kinds of different things. I think he's going to be playing more of that outside linebacker rush, and kind of almost like a James Houston. James Houston had one thing to do, and it was to get the quarterback. James Houston was very limited, but he had super quarterback rushing skills. Now, Will Anderson, I don't want to put a comp. I'll talk about a comp with him in a bit, but he'll be like the more complete version of a James Houston. A lot more responsibilities, playing the run more, better, and being able to drop back into some passing coverages. Now, James Houston does not play the run well, and he does not really drop back at the pass coverage. We've seen him do it, but it's one of his main weaknesses. And I think, obviously, Will Anderson is a more refined, more retooled more well-rounded James Houston and just a whole of a hell of a lot better player. That's no shade on James Houston. That's just fact. Now, I think he'll be, like I said, be playing that rush outside linebacker, that rush end, hand in the dirt, standing up a lot though. Just nightmarish. So, he will struggle with O lineman a little bit with longer arms if he lets him get inside of him. Being the smaller defensive end in college, going up against some big boys in college, okay? So if he lets some OTs get inside of him, inside his body, inside his chest, he would struggle a little bit, but he does have some counters, but he would get stymied that time, if they got into his frame. And then I think he needs to win a little bit more one-on-one battles, in my opinion. He was great with the loops, great with the stunts. Quick as a cat, just powerful, quick, just everything you're looking for in a defender. But you want to see him win a little bit more on his one-on-ones. Now, the bottom line on this guy, man, the overview, the summary, whatever we want to call this, is that he's an elite pass rusher. This is what he is. He's super special in that department. Has everything you want in a defender except for that ideal size. You know what I mean? Like, he is 6'3", 250 pounds. He's played even smaller than that at 230, but that was, that's his freshman days. By the time he was in his third year at Bama, he was over 240 pounds. Now, he came in the combine, like I said, at 253. What's he going to do at the NFL level? What's the next team? What are they going to say to him? Are they going to let him be what he wants to be at 240, 250? I'm not really too sure, but he does lack a little bit of ideal size if they want to play him at, let's say, defensive end. That's why I think he's going to be an outside linebacker. Now, he has the agility, he has the length, and he has the technique. They're all elite. He's a future All-Pro, in my opinion, a future Pro Bowler. Just a special, special player. Needs to be a little more consistent as a finisher, though. But I think Defensive Player of the Year is in his cards. I think he's one of those guys that is going to be reckless on the field. He's just going to wreak havoc. He's just going to wreak havoc on the field. I like this kid so much. He fits any scheme, in my opinion. I personally think he's a kid that will be standing up, like I said, in the NFL, but can obviously play with his hand in the dirt. Talked about that a little bit. And, like I said, I don't really get into comps that much. I've seen some comps out there. Brian Burns from the Carolina Panthers, I can kind of agree on that. Von Miller, I see a lot of Von Miller in him, especially with that bend, with that flexibility, that ankle flexion. You just see a lot of Von Miller in him. Von Miller was really special at that, and I think Will Anderson Jr. has some Von Miller in him. And then he reminds me a lot of Micah Parsons. Michael Parsons kind of does it from all different angles, from the outside, from the inside linebacker, outside linebacker, plays a little rush end. He does a little bit of everything. I think Will Anderson will be that same player, but maybe even better. Like, you guys all know about my crush. If you don't know, there could be some new subscribers in here that didn't know about my crush of Micah Parsons. I loved him a few years ago coming out in this draft. I wanted him bad. We took Sewell. I'm completely fine with it. But I wanted Parsons in the worst way. And I was really told that Micah Parsons was one of the most overrated college players coming out. Not by everybody, but a lot of people told me that I was crazy for how much I loved Micah Parsons. And I love Will Anderson even more. I think he's going to be special. Now, sky's the limit on this kid. First round player, top 3 pick. He's a top 3 pick. He would probably be going number 1 if there wasn't such a heavy quarterback need for teams like Carolina trading with Chicago, going up there. They're drafting a quarterback. You think Houston, they need a quarterback. Now, Arizona is one of the roadblocks. The Colts are at 4. they're probably looking at a quarterback. Seattle, they could be looking at a quarterback because Geno's not the answer, and his contract spells that they're drafting a quarterback. Personally, there's been rumors that even Arizona wants out of there as well. They want out of that pick. They like Tyree Wilson, the defensive end out of Texas Tech. There's lots of chatter going on right now. So I think our two roadblocks for the Lions, if we were to be able to get this kid, would be Arizona and Seattle. Now, if 4 quarterbacks go in the top 5, there's a chance that we can get him. Do I think he's going to slip out of 6? 2-6? I really don't. There's a part of me that wants it so bad, but there's a part of me that just, I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. But this would be a guy, and I know this is probably, this might ruffle some feathers. He's the player that I would trade up to 3 to get. I really would. I would absolutely 3. And then, hey, if Houston was to go crazy and take a guy like Will Anderson Jr., then you're either drafting a quarterback at 3 or you're trading out of there again. But Will Anderson Jr. is a guy that I would 100% trade up for. Could you imagine Aiden Hutchinson and Will Anderson Jr. on the bookends? You can't. There's not a Lions fan in the planet that would not get excited for that. Now, the next question is, what are you going to give up to get it? You might have to give up 18. Or you give up a future number 1, or you obviously you swap 3 and 6. You might have to give up 18. Maybe a future 1 instead of the 18. Maybe you could get away with giving like maybe a 2nd round pick, one of those 2nd round picks, and maybe like a 5th to go up there. Because you're gonna have to give up a little bit, man. Even though it's only 3 spots, you're going up there, so a team's gonna want something. Like you're going after a particular player. We're going to want some capital. Now, it's just spitballing here, guys. I'm not saying they need to do this, but it's a player that I would absolutely love to go get, and I would trade for him. I would make a move if I was Brad Holmes. You go all in with Aiden Hutchinson and a guy like Will Anderson. You still can beef up that D-line. You go get a really plug-and-play defensive tackle, a guy that can stuff the run. You don't need all pass rushers. You can get a guy that's full-on like a Mozzie Smith. That's a whole other video, but yeah, you know what I mean? Just build that D-line, get a dominant force at 2 bookends, and the sky's the limit, and you got that secondary, man, that they just revamped. It gives me chills. Will Anderson's a guy that gives me chills, man. He's my number 1 guy. My number 1 guy in this whole draft. So that's it, guys. I ran and raved about 18 minutes on this. I knew it would be a little bit of a long one because big man crush on this kid out of Bama, man. This kid's special. Will Anderson Jr., what do you guys think, man? I want to say thanks a lot for letting me rant and rave about Will Anderson. It's always fun doing the analysis on some of my favorite players. I kind of did this one for myself. I've been doing ones for my subscribers. This one's for myself. So, Will Anderson, big-time player, elite player, top 3 player, easy, not even close, top 3 player. Could he slip to us? Could we trade up and get him? There's all kinds of ifs, ands, or buts. We don't really know what's going to happen, man. We're coming up on the draft in a few weeks, though. But thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming in and watching this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Get all my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, share this out. Imagine Will Anderson, guys. Will Anderson and Aiden Hutchinson on bookends. Think about it. Just think about it, man. Oh, it makes me fired up, man. Let's go, guys. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. One pride. Go Lions. Boom. Let's go. Woo.